Here they are, Flixton Golf Club. Supporters Club members.
When you get a ticket, please, if you can't go, let us know so that one of the other members can go. Do not sell it on to a friend or what have you. It's not fair. My next bit actually is to introduce Ian Cheeseman. So I'd like to thank Ian for coming tonight and welcome to our Flixton branch committee meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Only the last of the big drinks, like currant cordial. Thanks for having me.
Right, my name's Glen and I am a season ticket holder at Manchester City. I'm 80 years of age and I've been a supporter since the age of 7. I was taken to the match Manchester City versus Portsmouth at Main Road as a present by one of the neighbours. And my experience was, as a kid, a little bit sort of exaggerated, was a magnificent person stood in goals with hands like buckets. And my memory of this was him catching a ball just like catching a golf ball or a tennis ball and throwing it out to the wing where Nobby Clark was. And players I remembered at the time was Andy Black at centre forward and Nobby Clark, Frank Swift, who that turned out to be the giant in goals. And since that day I've been a Man City supporter. Still am. Still a season ticket holder at the age of 80.
How did Frank Swift compare then to Bert Troutman?
In my opinion, he came second to Bert Troutman. But I saw more of Bert Troutman than I did of Frank Swift. But I only went once. I was just say I went the first time, and after that I was hooked on Manchester City and been a fan ever since.
My name's Kevin Hughes. I'm the membership secretary for the Flixton branch of the Supporters Club, and also I'm related to a very famous City fan, Helen Turner, who's my grandmother.
That's the mini version of the bell, isn't it? That's not the one she had at the games, which people might remember. Older people.
This is the one she had at the later games when she couldn't carry the bigger bell.
Right. So Helen was, for those who don't know, she was the steward, big blonde-haired steward on coach number
A.
1. Yeah,
Oh, Coach A,
Coach A. What sort of person was she then? There'll be people who are younger watching this who go, I've never heard of her. Go and tell us who Helen the Bell is.
Well, Helen was, very, as you say, a very famous lady who was well known for carrying the bell, big beehive, and can be quite a very bossy woman when she needed to be. There's occasions, one that comes to mind is we had gone to Wolves and coming out the game afterwards, we were all on the coach and the back window went through. Just in front of the coach was a police officer sat on a horse who looked back and did nothing. Nan got off the coach, went to have a talk with him and actually pulled him off the coach, off the horse. A couple of weeks later, I'm at my nan's for the home game. There's a knock on the door and there's a police officer, an inspector with a sergeant, and this officer had made a complaint about my nan. And my nan basically turned around and said, well, hold on, the coach window went through, people could have been hurt. Said this police officer knew that it happened and did nothing. He looked back, he knew it had happened, did nothing, so I went and had a word with him. He wouldn't get off his horse when I asked him, so I dragged him off the horse. He said, I've got people on the coach who will verify that story, including my grandson. A couple of weeks later, another knock on the door. Same two police officers, with a letter this time from the police in the Wolverhampton area, a letter of apology for Nan.
Brilliant.
So instead of her getting done for assaulting this police officer, she actually got a letter of apology because she actually got his collar number. So that's just one of the few little stories about her.
I could probably tell you a few stories about Helen myself because I've
bet
been on
you
a
could.
coach. But anyway,
Yeah, so have I.
that's a small bell. Just tell us. Just show us what it sounded like. Brilliant.
And that's how she would ring it.
Helen, Helen, ring your bell. Helen, ring your bell. One other thing that we should say as well for everybody who doesn't know is that she used to sit behind the goal in the north stand behind
correct, yeah.
Joe Corrigan's goal and give him a sprig of heather before every game. That's true, isn't it?
That's correct, yeah. There was one occasion she couldn't get the heather from the market, and she actually hitched the ride with a wagon all the way up to Scotland, picked the heather herself and hitched back for the match so he could have his heather.
Fantastic. The one and only Helen the Bell.
Correct.
And her grandson. You've seen a lot of goalkeepers.
I have.
How do the modern ones compare? Is anybody of the newer ones that you like?
One or two goalkeepers have very well. City have always been renowned for having good goalkeepers, such as Joe Corrigan, Kipper McRae, if you remember him.
Keith, that is.
Yeah, and Harry Dowd, who was, I think, one of the smallest goalkeepers that City have had.
So on the subject of goalkeepers, brought up my friend at Flixton. Who's the best goalkeeper you've played with or against or whatever, particularly in a City shirt, Gazza?
Well, taking into consideration, I work with a guy at every home game. He's about 4 feet bigger and 4 feet wider than I am. I've got to say Joe Corrigan.
You really want to say 4 feet wider? If he watches this, he's not going to like that.
Yeah, but he's one big unit. He is a big unit. Listen, he's in good nick, trust me. He must be in his 40s now, Joe, isn't he? So anyway, I worked with him on the match day. He was a fantastic keeper for City. And he, against all the odds really, because he got a little bit of stick from fans, from the media, but he worked at his game. Not only got himself to be number one at City, but got himself into the England reckoning. And if the Shilton and Clem's not been around in that era, he'd have been number one. So Big Joe, you're for me, mate.
The bus again, but we're going to go from the Rosa Lancaster. Obviously if it's full it'll be a £5 a person, but it depends on Monday night on numbers if we're going to be able to run it. Would anybody be coming on Monday night on the bus?
My name's Dominic and I run the Chadderton Supporters Club for Manchester City.
How old are you?
21.
This is very unusual in the supporters club to have somebody so young like you to be chief bottle washer and do everything. Has other people told you that?
No, just took it on myself about 3 years ago. Started it up with my dad, and then ever since it's just took off from there.
How much effort do you put in? How many hours does it take?
Splitting it between work, it's probably about 5 or 6 at least a week, doing other things.
It's worth it though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, also on the top table at Chadderton branch of the supporters club is this man, Simon Mullock from the Sunday Mirror. You've got a tale or two to tell about City, haven't you?
I've got a few, yeah. I think one of the nice ones I've told tonight is about Yaya, and how kind of footballers, do appreciate journalists sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And it was when Yaya, it was a serious issue really. It was not something to smile about. But it was when Yaya was racially abused in Moscow. I think it was October 2013, and I was at the game and heard the racial abuse straight away and saw the reaction of Yaya and Sergio Aguero pointing out to the referee, and he actually tweeted about it, and the club picked up on this tweet, and when a complaint was made to UEFA about the abuse that Yaya was getting, I was asked to submit a witness statement to UEFA. City's lawyers actually rang me up and went through a witness statement, and they sent me the statement so I could sign it. All very official, all very serious, as you would expect for something like that. And hopefully, I don't know whether it played a role, because obviously everything was done behind closed doors from there, but hopefully it kind of it helped to bring it to the attention of UEFA, if nothing else. Now, I'm not sure what kind of punishment Moscow got, but obviously we know a few years later that they had the ground closed. But what was great about that was that Yaya was told about the witness statement that had done and offered me an interview. So it's nice that somebody of that stature would kind of realise he didn't have to do that. I would have done it anyway. But the fact is that Yaya saw that had kind of helped or tried to help with the case that City were putting towards UEFA, and offered me an exclusive interview, which obviously went down well with my employers. The added to that though is obviously a couple of years later, CSK Moscow had the ground closed for I think it was for racial abuse again, so they'd not learnt the lesson, and it so happened that it was when they were playing City. And I'm sure the City fans out there will remember the story. It was a load of my mates went over to Moscow, undeterred by the ground closure, and were going to rent an apartment out that overlooked the stadium so they could see some of the game.
As Bayern had done in the previous round.
Exactly as Bayern had done in the previous round. The only problem is, and I didn't realise this, but the Russian authorities are obviously avid Sunday Mirror readers, because when they got to this apartment, they were told that the apartment was no longer going to be open for any Englishmen who were going to appear to try and watch the game. Anyway, undeterred yet again, as City fans often are, a few of them managed to buy, not from me I hasten to add, but a few of them managed to get press passes off some Russian journalists. And I know one of them, a few of them got kicked out of the ground, who were recognised and got kicked out of the ground, but I know that at least one of them got onto the pitch with a photographer's bib and watched the game. So I know there were a lot of CSK Moscow fans in the ground that night, but there was also at least one City fan.